I looked at her and I was like, this is a privilege.
Yeah.
You get the honor to do this. Be thankful.
And you were a hero last week, and now you're a zero this week for people.
Was that just something that was just like, oh, God just came down and was like, hey, you guys both are doing this?
I've never seen people so excited to give away an unbelievable amount of money before in my life.
That's so
we
cool.
sit across the desk, and they're both smiling, and he says, yeah, the Lord told us to give you $2 million. All right, guys. Well, welcome to another episode of Bing Ben Jones Podcast. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If this is your first time, just want to kind of give you some context of what we are doing today. What's the point of the podcast? I think a lot of us are defined by our titles. A lot of us are defined by the vocations that we're in. But I also believe that God has called us to things beneath the surface of those titles. The titles are not our identity. They're the avenues in which we get to run. And so today, I'm super pumped. I have my wife here today, but I also have our friends, our mentors, and our pastors, Pastor James and Tiffany Dewhurst.
Hey. What's up?
Well,
yeah. How you guys doing?
We're great. It's a privilege to be here and hang out with you guys today.
It's a bit of a drive. Sorry.
Yes, it was a drive, but it was worth it.
It was a pretty drive.
It is pretty out
it's
here.
fair.
And he's like a race car driver, so we were the whole time. I was like, "Okay, we're going 85. Can we just slow down?"
I wasn't
Slow
going
down.
But you were trying to get on time.
That might be exaggerated, but
No.
but we made it on time. And
You
that's
did.
all
You're
that
waiting on
matters.
us. You're waiting on us. No, I appreciate you guys being here because
Yes.
this is more of a selfish podcast for me and for Erica because you guys really are our friends and our mentors, but also our pastors. And we look up to you guys. And so I think a lot of us see you guys on stage as like, oh, these are the pastors, these are the guys, right? But there's so much story behind that, behind the pulpit, behind the leadership, like who you guys really are. So for the listeners, maybe just share like, who are you? Where are you from? What do you guys do?
Tiffany, I'll let you start.
Let me start. I do a myriad of things. My name's Tiffany, and I currently, I don't really know what I do. I do a lot of things at the church, a lot of the behind the scene things.
Yeah.
That I put
Jack of
everything in
all
place to. My heart, I make sure all the next generation is all put together at the church and all the curriculum, and make sure things are taught that is biblical, and people are running things the way that is at the heartbeat of our church.
Right.
But I do things.
Many hats, right?
Many hats.
All of the hats.
Quality control. How about we say?
Literally. I think
If you
one
don't know
time I
who
called
does it,
you
it's Tiffany.
Yes. I think one time I called you a boss. No, I called you a gangster.
A
Yeah.
gangster.
You did not like that.
Well,
She's the Holy Ghost
well,
gangster.
behind the scenes, like I think I created most things like behind the scenes, like to make them. And so it's like, I know how to do everything in the building,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm not a good preacher. So beyond that.
That's awesome. What do you do, sir?
Well, as you know, we planted the church, and so got to do that. And so I was the maintenance man, the lawnmower, the trailer fixer. You know, when you plant a church, you're all the things.
All the things.
Yeah.
But as the church has grown over time, and the staff has grown, and people have come, and great, amazing volunteers have come, it's shifted more. You know, I mean, I still do those things if I need to, but mainly just, you know, obviously writing sermons and teachings and all of the things, leading lots of Bible studies and setting the vision for the church. And then on top of that, on the side, I do real estate as well. So I get to dabble in the real estate world a little bit and connect with people outside the church, which is actually a pretty cool opportunity as
And
well.
you're a beast at both.
I'm
just saying. I'm not fluffing you today. But no, I guess my question for you guys, because I think this is, like I said, it's very personal for us because we are looking up to you guys and we see what you guys are doing, but not just because like what you're doing, you know, like I said, on stage, but I think it's your heart's off stage. Like there's plenty of stories, and we'll dig into all this in a moment, but like I think this is a selfish podcast for me because I get a chance to just really pull you guys away for like an hour or whatever and just go like, hey, like
hang out.
Like how in the world did you get there? And not from a sense of success, but more just like there's a lot of things that got you from point A to point B. And I think point A is like how you grew up, the things that you experienced, like maybe the call on your life. Like when did that happen for both of you? Like was that just something that was just like, oh, God just came down and was like, hey, you guys both are doing this? Or was that something that like you saw over time? What did that look like?
That's a good question. I think it was individual, right, before we connected. But why don't you tell?
I think we both, at teenagers, we were always told that we were going to be in ministry. Mine was always like natural. Like when I got baptized by I grew up at Christian Assembly, and Pastor Sam, I remember when he baptized me, he told me I was going to work in ministry and I was going to pull kids from fields and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, it's not really what I want to do. I was a really good student and wanted to be a teacher and do different things than that. And then like, as you know, years go, you start realizing, you know, more and more people start telling you like, hey, you're called to the ministry. I'm like, okay, well, that's off. You know, it's different for a woman than a man, you know? And so like, how's that going to look? And then we do it together. And I mean, so.
And then we met each other. But
okay, I was going to ask if that was before you met him or after.
Yeah, because she had individual things.
Yeah, and I was going to let you share how you
Which
were
part?
as well. Like
called to.
like
individually.
I was talking about my individual. And then later on it came together and we were both called.
Yeah. So like I grew up in church as well on the east side of Columbus. She was on the north side. She went to Northland Mall. I went to Eastland Mall. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey.
Northland was better.
Which I'm going to pause you for a second. So when this is just a quick story and then you can go back into it. So like one of the things for our family as we were like involved in church and been in church our whole lives ourselves, like in this season, because we've been part of the Real for how long now?
Almost 5 years. Or 4?
Okay.
About
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, 4 maybe.
But I think before we came, like that was one of the things because, you know, if by looking at us, we didn't grow up in the same culture. Let's just say it that way.
Same background.
And so when we were looking at churches, of course, we were like, okay, we're going to find a church that fits our family really, really well. It's very hard when you grew up in different cultures. And so one of the things that for me was like, all right, we're going to go and, you know, the Lord is the Lord no matter which church you go to. Amen.
Yeah.
Like it's just the reality of who he is in your personal walk. But I was like, if I'm going to be underneath some leadership, you know, I got to feel him. And when I met both of you, first of all, I watched some of your videos on social media and I was like, oh, this dude's got a little bit of swag from somewhere.
Culture.
So culture, I think is very. So when we talked on like off stage, I remember you telling me where you're from. Then you told me where you're from. I was like, oh, okay. All right. These people.
Yeah, because you're from the north end.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
North side.
north end.
There in Cleveland Avenue.
Cleveland
That's what my
Avenue.
dad used to tell me whenever we were bad. He was like, go cross Cleveland Avenue 10 times and then come home. I feel like, well, I'll try.
So that's where I get my haircut in Northern Lights.
Northern Lights, that's where she grew up, right next
I
to
rode
it.
my bike down there and got milk all the time for my mom.
So there's this store, and then we'll get back to the conversation about
no
your walk.
worries.
But there's this store. There's a candy store. Do you remember the store in Northern
Yeah,
Lights?
Walford Market.
Excuse me. All right. Okay.
Your favorite store?
You can get a Tootsie Roll for a penny. So you can get a whole bag of Tootsie Rolls for $1. It was
I
like
got lemon heads.
See?
on the hood.
You
Hey,
guys used to
the
go
candy
and
store in
save.
the hood.
in the hood by
In
the
the
by the
hood.
Blockbuster.
Every summer night, you would, whatever coins you found around the house, I go
That's
down there and buy
crazy.
whatever candy
That's
I could
hilarious.
find. Yep. You just
Ben
ride your
always
bike there.
talks about going there. He tells the girls about it all the time.
So I try to
Is
take
it
the
still
girls
open?
to get. I don't think so actually.
Is it closed or open?
I don't know. It's sad there now.
Yeah,
it's
I
not,
mean-
it's not
Walford
that
Market.
great. But I try to take our kids just to give them some culture. But
They go
it's-
to the barber with him a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Anyway,
they come back
afterward.
changed. So you were called.
Well, I grew up on the
individually.
east side.
You're on the east side.
Like
Yep.
I said, and similar, you know, Livingston Avenue, Courtright Road, Flea Market,
Ooh,
right
Courtright,
around
yeah.
the corner, you know. Yeah, we had lots of cool things. Walnut Ridge, right across from Walnut Ridge
Oh.
High School, you know.
He had body bags all down.
Yeah,
his
sometimes
street.
we would have,
Oh,
there'd be times on
Northern
the way
Lights
to,
wasn't that bad.
it wouldn't have been
Yeah.
on the way to church sometimes. It'd be like, this road's closed down.
Stop.
And then,
Oh my
there'd be
gosh.
body
So
outlines and,
The
you know.
area is worse.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
mine was
So
better.
so we're very cultured.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we're cultured people.
And I'm over here from the country that's not cultured at all.
Yeah, you're from like
No.
up north. And
It's a culture. It's
yeah, it's just a different
just
kind of
different
culture.
culture.
Hey, my grandparents owned a farm on Sunbury Road.
Yes.
So I spent a lot of time in the farms too. So
Yeah,
so did he out in,
that's true.
Guyana. So we were a little
Both.
multicultural.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but we had at our church growing up, and it was at the Redeemer's Church growing up on the east side of Columbus, right off of
Yeah.
70 and Courtright, and we would bring in these prophetic people like every year to kind of pray over people and give people like words and stuff like that. So I was growing up, you know, we were a Holy Ghost filled Holy Roller church, and
Redeemers.
and multiple years in a row, people would say to me, like, you're called to the ministry, you're set apart, you know, like they'd call me out in the middle of a service and say it, you know, and some of it got recorded and I was like, this is crazy. This is in high school, you know,
Yeah,
blew
yeah.
it off or whatever. And then ran from it. And then it wasn't until like 18, 19, I had a bunch of race cars and stuff and was like, I'm not going to run anymore. I sold everything and then went to seminary. So I had to surrender. It was like Jonah running,
Jeez.
Yeah.
and life was falling apart, and I was like, this
Mhm.
ain't working, you know. So
That's crazy.
That's
So
really
you
cool.
so you felt called, but was it when you said you guys came together, was it like, all right, we're gonna do this together as a vocation, or was this like, hey, I just feel called to go
Well, we were
run?
dating, and he had the opportunity to take over the youth ministry at his church. And so our pastors came to us and were like, hey, we know you guys are doing this. And how do you guys feel about this? And I was like,
Tiffany's like, we're
I mean,
not gonna
I'm
marry.
in.
selfishly, I was like, I just want him.
Yeah.
Like I know
You
it's
know.
like down the road we're gonna do this, but like, do we
Yeah.
have
Not
to do
yet.
this right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
You
That's-
know.
yeah.
Hey, come on.
Yeah.
So, but at that moment too, like I told him I would follow him wherever he went. So.
Mm.
Yeah.
She did.
That's
Felt like what 21, 22 years old. I'm
Mhm.
full time on staff at a church,
wow.
and we're not even married yet.
Wow.
And so the interesting thing
That's
is
crazy.
we have never had a day of marriage without being on a stage in front of everybody to watch. Like we've
Yeah.
never had it.
Mm.
So there wasn't time. You're learning
That's crazy.
everything on
As
the
you go,
fly as
yeah.
you go, and
Mhm.
everybody gets to
Mm.
watch it, judge it, measure it,
Yeah.
scrutinize it. Like
Thankfully, back then it wasn't like social media. And
It
stuff.
didn't
Yeah,
exist, but now
it's
it's-
evolved over time.
but
Like
that's
we
where
didn't even
we're
have
at
cell phones.
But that's also
Like-
hard because you're not even married yet. So
We're not even
like
married
you're
yet.
just like they're watching everything
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
life unfold.
But if you
which
said
is
or did
cool.
something dumb
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
accident
Which
as
you're
a young
gonna do
youth, no
because
one
you're
knew.
Yeah, you're
in
a
your
few
yeah,
Like
you're
it didn't go viral because
That's
there
true.
was no opportunity.
You just got
for it.
sat in your pastor's office
Yeah,
and they were
that's
like,
so
and got
true.
corrected,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I think that's the generation we're in now where everyone's scrutinizing everybody. Like,
Yeah.
you went through marriage, then kids, and planning a church all
All of it.
on
And moving out of state.
Moving out of
Poor
state,
Malachi,
moving back.
man.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
watched everything he did, even as a
Aw.
baby. Like,
Yeah.
because he was, front row.
Yeah.
Like that's how pastors sat back then. Everybody
Mhm.
watched you. And so
Oh,
like,
Yeah.
even us, like we're just sitting there and like our baby's on the ground with flags and it's
Yeah.
like they're watching him,
Oh, you guys had flags.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
we
Our
had
church had
flags.
fight, and you get hit in the head if you didn't watch out. So
The runners and the jumpers and
All
all
the
that.
runners,
all
jumpers,
of it.
all that.
That's crazy. But like, how do you? This is where I'm asking advice. Like, how do you process that, right? Because you're almost growing up.
yes,
This sounds really weird, but anyone that's like this, I want this podcast to also help people that are walking through this. So like, if you think of like child stars, right? Kids that
Mhm,
grow up on Nickelodeon and they're like growing up in front of the world. In a weird way, I think ministry has, especially in America, has come to the point where like you're growing up in front of people in your walk
Mhm.
because you got to serve whether you're good or not. You gotta.
Yeah.
I think
job's
you've
gotta
told.
get done.
I think you've told me multiple times, like, hey, sometimes you got to play hurt. Like, you don't get to take off a Sunday because you weren't telling me this, but you're saying out of your own experience, like, if you're sick, like,
Oh, we did a
Yeah.
whole summer camp on playing hurt.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
like you're hurting, like you're limping, but
Yeah.
you're no one.
But you got to get the
You
job
gotta
done.
do
Gotta
it.
get it done.
Yeah.
So
Or
like,
somebody goes off on you 5 minutes before you walk up to preach a sermon.
Yeah.
You can't say, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to preach today because I'm bleeding
Or you
over."
have
here."
an argument
Mhm.
with your spouse on the way to church.
It's
You got
real.
to shut down at church, and then you got to go do your thing, and then
That's-
reintroduce that conversation later.
that
That's
is
true.
real.
That's
This is
real
the church.
life.
That's
Yeah.
real.
Real life.
But like, how do you navigate that, and how do you navigate like this? Like, how do you keep it the main thing, right? Because you do have all that stuff. How do you keep?
Well, I think one of the
Going.
most important things is you have to have a commitment to authenticity
Mhm.
because if you don't, you can become a fake person.
Ooh, that's good.
Mhm.
And I think that's a problem is like, although people are watching you, you're not an actor. You can't become an actor because an actor is a different person than the role they play,
Come on.
right? You need to be what they see. Oh, come on,
Mhm.
somebody.
Yeah.
And so
That's good.
So that's the big thing is you're going to have moments you got to get up and you're a spiritual leader over people, but you're still a sinner yourself, right?
Come on.
Or you still have fights or arguments, or you fall short, or you don't love your wife that day how you should, or
Mhm.
she doesn't love you,
Yeah.
So you still have to keep working through your own thing. So I feel like one of the hardest parts is, working that out while you're still leading people.
Mm.
Sometimes you get those voices of, I'm not qualified. What are we doing here? I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I don't belong. I
Yeah.
shouldn't. I think we've all gone through those seasons, right?
Yeah.
And I think, for me, the way I've processed it or worked through it is, I used to tell another person that was on staff years ago, he was going through some relational problems and he was going to preach on marriage.
Oh, marriage. Yeah.
And he said, well, our marriage is on the rocks, but I'm going to preach on marriage. And I said, well, then be honest. I said, don't give details that you shouldn't give, but get up and say, my marriage isn't perfect,
That's
but I'm going to preach to you something I'm preaching to me. And then that becomes an authentic moment instead of acting
A
in
real
front of
moment.
people. Like
Yeah.
I've got this all together, you know?
that's so. I think that's hard because you are on stage and people look at you as if you got it together. Like I think it was interesting because you guys were out of town 2 weeks ago.
yeah.
And I preached.
Yes, you
And
did.
you're like, hey, preach on wow, 2 weeks ago. I can't thank you, parenting.
Parenting.
Like,
And the
this actually
the
plays
trophy
into
trap.
this is
Yeah.
what it plays into, and the trophy trap and the things that the kids experience and the busyness of life and the running around. It's like, oh, I'm gonna preach on the exact thing that I'm dealing with right now
In your life.
Mm-hmm.
is good, but it's also hard. You gotta go, oh, wait, I'm not perfect. And
Yes.
God does something to me as I'm learning and studying it and going, hey, you gotta prioritize your life. And I mean, we all run so fast, which is part of our life right now, I guess. We're just running. This is
Yes.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you get to like preach what you're actually walking through
through,
there.
Yes.
How do you deal with the doubt though? I think you just mentioned that word doubt. Like as you're going through this process of starting a church and growing and things, you're like there's moments you're like, is this God, am I called to this? Do you have moments like that?
I'll let you. I talked a lot last time. So I'll let you. You got anything or?
know
I
you
mean,
do.
I'll be honest, I didn't want to start Real Church. So I wasn't going to bring that up today. I told James in the car I wasn't going to say that, but sorry about that.
Yeah,
it was
It's
like
real.
more of the
It's
thing.
a real
Like,
thing.
it was,
it's real. Yeah.
I knew how much work it was going to be. It was
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
I knew all the things I was giving up to do it as well. And so like, you
And you
know,
had
when
to
you
move,
create,
too, to do
yeah,
it, so.
but when you create things and you finally get your family to a really healthy place and then God's like, oh,
Yeah.
no thanks.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
you're
hard.
like,
New
so
season.
yeah, I was like, really God, you know,
Yeah.
and so, I
I'm
mean,
Comfortable here. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like the doubt is every time we did doubt, it would be very tempting.
Yeah.
I've understood Lot's wife so much
Mhm.
more. Before, like growing up in the Bible, it's like, oh, she's a pillar of salt, she's a terrible woman.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
literally,
That's
like,
good.
and not that our life was Sodom and Gomorrah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but it's just, it was just the life she had.
Mhm.
And so when you have that, it's like everything is reminded, like when it's
Mhm.
hard or when there's a wilderness and when there isn't, you know,
Mhm.
money to buy your son his basketball
Yeah.
shoes or, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
all
you're
the
like,
things.
we shouldn't have left. And,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
or, you know, you missed these opportunities where you could have been and now you're recreating, nobody knows you.
Yeah.
Where it's like everybody knew you and you were the man. Now you're just
Yeah.
a nobody and you don't know anybody in your church. And
Yep.
so then you're like,
Starting from
yeah. And they
Square
don't
one.
know your history either. I think that was the weird thing too, is like we would talk to each other sometimes
Mm.
and like these people have no idea who we are.
Yeah.
we're just
Oh, when
nobody.
you're planting the church.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that I think was a doubt too. It just like, it's all the time when
Yeah.
you're first starting,
Yeah.
especially the first
Yeah.
5 years.
Mhm.
So you have like these good seasons and then you have setbacks and you're like,
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, you doubt in the dark.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
That's good.
I mean, you doubt in the dark,
Mhm.
right? When everything's shiny and going good, and
Mhm.
you know, people are coming and people are getting saved, and it's like, man, we're called to
This
this.
is good.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
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 And then when people aren't, you know, aren't getting saved, and there's no money, and you're
Yeah.
struggling, and you're sacrificing, and there's
Yeah.
conflict, and
Yeah.
and you were a hero last week, and now you're a zero this week for
Yep.
people.
Mm.
Then you're
real.
like, man, what are we doing? We're not called to this. We're no good at
Yeah.
it. You know, like,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget like advice when we, you know, because we had moved, we were youth pastors for 12 years in Columbus, and then we moved to Atlanta
Yeah.
to be youth pastors and do some worship and stuff like that down there at a big church, and a great church, Mount Perrin Church of God. And but I'll never forget, I was there for 3 years with Tiffany and all the things, and when we were preparing to come back home and plant this church, a good friend of mine who used to work for Larry Stockstill, and worked
Yeah.
at really High Point Church, Osteen family. I mean,
Yeah.
huge churches,
Right.
well-known guy, traveled the country. He gave me some advice. He said, I think you should do it. And he said, plant the church. He said, but understand you're a somebody where you are. And he said, and when you go plant a church, for years, you're going to be a nobody.
Mhm.
And he said, you walk around in Atlanta, you work where, and
Yeah.
you go home, and it's like, who are you and what do you have? And
Wow.
and he said, he said, you're going to disappear. It's like you're going to go underground, and you have to know that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he said it'll be years until you build up again, right? And man, was that so true. You know what I mean?
And I
But-
think that's why I didn't want to start the church. 'Cause
Yeah.
we had already
Yeah.
worked so hard for so many
To build
years.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like we literally, even our youth ministry, we came from a little basement room
Yeah.
and we took over their sanctuary so much that they had to build a whole new sanctuary because we had taken over their sanctuary. So like we have been portable since pretty much the start.
Yeah.
Forever,
And
yeah.
so for us, it was like, I was like, man, we've already done all this.
Yeah,
like to
we
do
have to do
all
it
of that
again.
work again.
Like, let us live easy.
Like, yeah.
Please.
Let's be on
Yeah.
autopilot. But then
But
but to encourage you, I feel like the weird thing is now seeing you guys,
Mhm.
I'm like, there's not a room. Like it's weird because I'll go to Starbucks. Oh yeah, PJ was this in here. Oh, just and then we were talking the other day about something else. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just call this guy. I forget who it was, but it was just someone that you and your mouth was just like, oh, I'm just gonna call so and so. And to me, it was like you were saying, I'm gonna just call the president. It was like, how do you know? And it doesn't even like phase you because you're like so connected within our city. And I think when you talk about being known, it's not from a place of pride. Being known, it's like impact. Like, okay, when you're known, you can call these people and resources and things to make more impact to people.
Yeah.
And you just didn't have that day one.
You don't have it, right?
That's
You're
right.
building from
Yeah.
scratch. It's like, we need a pencil, we need a stapler, we need some
Yeah.
paper. Okay, let's
Somebody-
start with
Let's
that.
do
You
it.
know?
Yeah.
And we were
Yeah.
portable. So think about this. Everything you set up and create to make look like a church every week, you have to tear down and move out
And put away.
and disappear.
Yes.
So every Sunday night, I would put all of our sound equipment in a closet,
Yeah, yeah.
unplug every cord, hang them all up, and then I would vacuum the whole lobby of Liberty Christian, and then I would lock the door and not be seen until Friday.
I was just going to say that when we helped with the church plant, I just remember that so much for 5 years. It's like we did the kids stuff and tearing down everything. And it's just so exhausting. So to have to do that all over again for you guys.
If ours was not just the kids. It was
Yes,
the drums. It was
everything.
the
Yes,
everything.
yes,
Like
yes.
sound
Drapes. Did you have
equipment.
drapes and
Yeah,
stuff?
drapes.
Well,
Pipes
and
of
the
drapes. I hate
sound
pipes
is
of
the
drapes.
worst.
But I heard someone say that goes to church now. I forget who it was, but they were like, but however you did it, you made the place not feel like a school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people thought the school rented from us.
That's awesome.
That's pretty
That's
funny.
really cool.
Because excellence is excellence,
It
right?
is.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you don't
And
get
it matters.
excuses.
Yeah.
You know.
But then you guys are so this is the thing that like we are really encouraged by you guys is the fact that I don't want to say the words you made it, right? Because we have so long to go with the church and
Sure,
what
sure.
we're doing. But you're a long ways from that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, I'm just gonna say since we're on camera and on mic, like you're patching walls after Easter or after VBS.
Hmm.
You're over there till literally we had basketball. I'm just telling you stories that I could say to people, but because people don't get to see this side of you because they just see you on Sundays and go, oh, they're just
Mhm.
preaching. We had basketball from 8 to 10 or something one Tuesday, and then she's still there doing something, locking up, doing these things. And again, I know you don't like hearing these things, but as people coming up in ministry, I go like, man, like there's no green rooms with you. There's no like, I got to sit over here and, and sit in I grew up in churches where you sit in the throne, the pastor sit in the throne on stage and they,
Mhm.
and Father this, and you guys are this, and get me a water. And you guys need those things at times, right? But at the same point, you're not demanding that. You're actually leading by example.
Mhm. I was just going to say, I think your obedience and all of the things that you are talking about, it's just so encouraging because it's like you could have just said like, no, we're not doing this. And you obeyed. And like now, like God's blessing you because of your
Yes.
obedience, even when it's really hard. And so
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
I think that's
That's good.
really cool.
And I give
Yeah.
her most of the credit for the obedience. part.
But where does that come from though? Where does that obedience and that hustle come from? Because I feel like, and I'm just going to say from my point of view, even with your extended family, at least a lot with yours, like there's a lot of entrepreneurs and like
Mhm.
just goers, or doers.
Get
at
it
least. So
done. Yeah.
it's like, where does that initially come from both of you to say yes to that, but then like actually execute?
I think both of us came from hardworking families.
Mhm.
And so both parents, worked hard and were
Mhm.
willing to do anything to make it happen. So I think we worked. I was a teenager writing up my dad's invoices for his company and like
That's
getting
crazy.
things together because it was just what you did. It was just a family thing. So
Yeah.
it was like, I've just always worked. It's just
Mhm.
working is what my dad was great at. So, and I
Yeah.
think James as well, like his family owned a landscaping company. So it was
Mhm.
like, whatever needs to be done. And we didn't get allowances. So it
Yeah.
was like, it was just
What's
part
that?
of being.
Neither did
No
we.
allowance?
What's
Yeah.
that? You're allowed to be alive in my house.
Yeah, you're allowed to be alive.
So I
That's
think
your
that's
allowance.
what, we both came from the job isn't done until it's done. And
Mhm.
so like, I think
That's
a
fair.
lot of like currently it's like, although it's over at 5. Well, sorry, the job isn't done. So
Yeah.
you stay.
It's
you
over
know.
when it's done.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
So,
Unpopular opinion, our kids still don't get an allowance.
They still, well, and you know,
And I don't want them to.
They
so-
got an allowance. They got shoes.
Yeah, that's
They
very
got
true.
toothbrush.
they,
They
they got allowed to sleep.
Yeah,
they got
that's
allowed
true.
to, they're allowed to take a shower.
They have a lot
They have a
more
lot
than
more
they
than
would
we
get
did,
with an
yeah.
allowance.
This is and when they get money, they're like, hey, do you want to get ice cream? Because they'll ask for ice cream. We're like, yeah. Do you have money? They're like, yeah, but I want to use yours.
Yeah.
What's why do you have money then if you're just not going to use it on what you want? But
Well, another thing I'll just say with, you're talking about like her staying late or me, like,
yeah.
whatever. I think sometimes, if there's a gap or a hole, you just want to get the job done, and you want to help people. Sometimes other people have worked hard, and so you don't want to call them in and have them do more. So sometimes, good or bad, we'll just go, hey, that needs fixed. I'll do it.
feel the gap.
And but I think part of it too, you talk about no green rooms and stuff. I just feel like you grow up in church and around church our whole lives. We've seen so many. We've had some of the most famous guest speakers in before we spent time with them, and you see the prima donnas, which are many at the high levels, and
Oh,
then you
sure.
see the servants, which are very few, and you start unpacking what Scripture says, and you think of Martin Luther in the 95 Theses, like he started seeing actions in the church that didn't line up with what the Bible said, and he made it known. And I think for us, quietly, our attitude in ministry is, like, if you study Jesus, he didn't have green rooms. He didn't say, come serve me. He didn't say, hold my
I'm
bags.
here to serve. Yeah.
He didn't say, I'm better than everybody else. Jesus said, I didn't come to be served. I came to serve and give my life. And so we just feel like it's a conviction, like, yes, thank you for your help, and thanks for holding up our arms, and thanks for honoring us. Like, we're so blessed and honored, but we don't feel like we deserve that, or you owe that to us, or anybody owes that to us, because I think that was Jesus's model. He carried burdens. He didn't ask you to carry his burdens. And I think that's the biblical model of leadership. The higher you go, the lower you go, versus the higher you go, the more praised and worshipped you are. And that's just a philosophy of ours.
That's really good.
That's so good.
We were I was just talking about with homeschooling and stuff. We were reading through a book, and it wasn't a biblical book. It was just talking about happiness. And I was like, just like one of the key things to happiness is serving other people. Like, you feel like you aren't happy. I forget, the girls complained about something. I'm like, if you're not happy, go serve someone. Like, it's like
You're right.
Yeah, you have to just serve people and
Be thankful. I just had a conversation with Melina this morning because she was allowing anxiety and stress and all of the things because she's adulting this year and doing a job and doing college, and then she's presenting to
the music department
today to see if she can
wow.
stay within the program. And so, like, I looked at her and I was like, this is a privilege.
Yeah.
You get the honor to do this. Be thankful.
Yes.
So get your act in order and be thankful.
You'll do great.
And she was like,
okay.
I was like, we are not going to be ungrateful. We're not going to be. So, like,
But that's hard because even, to be honest, being real, like, I mean, on the way here, I was just like checking the boxes because your schedule gets busy. You got these different things, and I'm like, even doing a podcast, and you're like, okay, God, did you call me to do this? Because I feel really that He did call me to do this. And I fought with it for like 2 years. Yeah. Like, I was like, I should do it. Because then people look at it and go, oh, you're doing a podcast. Everyone has a podcast and everyone talks about things. And what's your angle? What are you trying to get out of us? And I don't have one, but it was just this idea of like, okay, God, you want me to talk and uncover people's stories other than their titles, right?
Yes.
And in that, sometimes you get anxious and you get things like, okay, is this, God, should I be doing this? Is this fitting my schedule? And He's like, just keep trusting me, keep moving.
And seeing you guys work together as a team, I think is also, just to applaud you. I love Erica being with you on this and doing it together, because she's a gem, dude.
She's the glue.
Don't like to do this, but
but she's a gem.
When we did our first episode, it was interesting. So this is behind the scenes stuff, but essentially, I posted the videos, like just like snippets of our first one, and of course I had her on in the very first episode. The ones where she was speaking blew up. The ones I was speaking, they were like, no. And I was in before. Yeah.
They're like, who is she?
Who is she? Literally, people have said that because she's
I don't ever hear you talk.
she's a quiet server.
I'm
and
just quiet.
Yes.
but like she's got so much wisdom inside, and so like it's cool to see her speak. And even if it's in a maybe nervous or like this is not my thing, people get to see like what's in there that I get to see because at home
Tiffany, I'm the behind the scenes. Like, just let me, But
There's
cracking
so
up.
I
much at
was
home.
just telling him though. I was like, because he's like, I'm overwhelmed. And I'm like, just find the joy in it. Find the joy in whatever
Yes.
you're doing. And
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's great.
We're pumped.
We're excited to be here.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
it's
thanks.
fun.
I got a question for you though.
Uh-oh.
This is a deep one. It's not.
Okay.
It's
ready
not.
for deep.
Life outside the pulpit. If God didn't call you to this, what would Tiffany be doing? What would James be doing?
Yeah, say the thing
What?
you said. We were on the way here talking about this, and I said, honey, answer.
I told him I would be
Oh.
selling fruit on the beach.
Wait, what?
That
Yeah.
sounds great.
Like oranges?
I don't know, anything,
Fresh fruit.
any fresh
to
fruit I
this.
can
Listen to
find.
this.
I'll make you some fruit
on an
bowls.
exotic island.
Yeah, as long as
somewhere.
I have my Labrador and some sand. Yeah, I'm
Wait,
She
good.
said
what?
it. If she could do
That
anything
would
she
be
wanted,
awesome.
a fruit stand on
Yeah,
an
I don't
exotic
need a lot of
island.
money. Just give me a 1-bedroom.
Yes.
Yeah,
I would
Bungalow.
say all the
and-
like acai bowls with the fruit.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
that's
could,
all.
That's
Yeah.
a thing.
Oh, it's not a Kai bowl?
That's what she
Yeah.
wants.
No,
Sit
I
around.
think I say acai.
Enjoy
is that
God's
Yeah.
creation all the time. That'd be great.
That would be
Really?
awesome.
You'd
That's
be
what she
You'd be an
wants.
orange sales.
What would it wear though?
Oh, I don't care.
It
Where it
doesn't
has
matter.
sand.
Okay.
Well, I think we were
I
in
just-
Hawaii
yeah.
years ago
Uh-huh.
with our
You loved
family,
it.
and we're
I would
driving.
never live in Hawaii.
We're driving down a country road,
Been there, done that. It's not-
and on the side of the road was a fruit stand,
Mhm.
and they were like fresh fruit, and you could see the pineapples
It
hanging
was
in
the
all the
best
fruit.
That's
Yeah.
And they,
entire world.
you pull over and they chop it all up in front of you and build
Oh,
this huge fruit bowl.
yum.
It was like $20 for the bowl of fruit.
I mean, that makes sense.
I believe it.
But-
How-
It's fresh fruit.
Ben's brother lives in Hawaii, and what did they say? Gas was like over
it
$11 a gallon right now there, or something
Oh, it's
like
insane.
No,
that.
it was crazy.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
But
No.
we
I was really just saying it to be funny.
Yes,
I
no,
would
we love the
gladly
fruit.
do
It
that.
was really good.
But honestly, would you?
Would
Would
you?
I do that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she would.
But
yeah.
I'm sure I would not
wouldn't
want to
work
not
out.
be busy because I really like working.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah.
unfortunately.
You'd get bored quick,
yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Pick the
I
fruit.
was always like, either going to be a teacher or work for the president, do
Mhm.
something like that. I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
that would have been a,
Run an orphanage.
I thought, run an
Just
orphanage,
crazy.
like something,
Mhm.
those would all been
Yeah.
good opportunities. So
Still serving.
Mm.
What about you?
What would I do? Wow. If I wasn't in ministry, I think I would do something in like the business world, maybe start a business, build a business,
Makes sense.
or
Mhm.
Checks.
like something with sales.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I just feel like I love
Mm-hmm.
selling.
Yeah.
If I believe in it, I'm going to talk about it.
Real estate.
I was going
estate,
to
Let's
say, you
talk
get
that.
to do
What
that.
where'd that come from?
Well, my mom and dad have been real estate agents for a long, long time.
Mhm.
We hit COVID, and y'all remember how unstable
Mhm.
life economy was. And it was like this sobering reality that like if things crash or whatever, like churches exist off of the obedience and the
Mhm.
generosity of people, obedient to God's call to
Yeah.
give
Mhm.
and the generosity to give, right?
Mhm.
All day.
And so, but if economy crashed and people didn't have incomes and there
Yeah.
wasn't, they couldn't give
Give,
at the
yeah.
level, then I may not be able to provide for my family. And I had put
So
all
true.
my eggs, I've got multiple degrees in
Yeah.
ministry. So all my eggs are in the ministry basket.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, like how could I, provide for my family? So my dad came to me one day and was like, hey, I got an idea, why don't you go to real
An
estate
idea.
school?
Yeah.
And he said, I'll put you through it.
Hmm.
And he said, why don't you just learn how to do it? Then you always have a backup plan. And they said, they're getting older. Before we're too old, we can train you, develop
Yeah.
you,
Right. Right.
So then while we're pastoring the church and coaching sports and doing all the things, I did like a
Yes.
super accelerated, like 2-week, learn everything from scratch,
Yeah.
2 weeks. And then,
Wait.
and then
What year is this?
2020,
2020,
2020. I did it
We
in the
got
middle
licensed
of,
the same
The
year.
same year.
I got mine during COVID.
dude, that's crazy.
Ben got sick
got
with
COVID.
COVID, and he's like, I'm just
You
gonna
got COVID.
You know when it
and
first got released? When it was first out? First album? COVID.
COVID.
When it first came out,
when
you
you
had
really had to
you had to quarantine for like
yeah.
3 weeks.
Mhm.
We didn't know, and Ben
That
was like,
was-
I'm gonna quarantine for 14 days and get my license.
I don't mean to poke fun at COVID, but that
Yeah,
was
we-
one of my
we do
best
mean
3
to.
weeks of my life.
It was great.
Because I was sick for 3 days, but then you don't have to do anything for.
But for
I was told I had to sit down, so
I
they
kept getting mad because I never got it. Everybody else got time
I
off,
didn't
and
either.
I'm the one holding
She
everything
said I
together
never
because
got
everybody
COVID.
kept getting sick. I was like, that's not
I
fair.
wanna
Everybody else
get it.
gets to sit around and watch TV, and I gotta
We
work.
had 3 kids at the time, and that I had to be shut in my room. Like I couldn't even.
But
be
that
around
was
my
like
family.
the very first, and we were like actually nervous about it because we were like,
Mhm.
"What
Nobody
is
knew what it
this?"
was,
No
yeah.
one knew.
She would
and
knock
so
on my door every meal. It's like, hey, food. So she'd lay
I
a
just
plate at
set
the
his
door.
food.
I just
The
like crack
best
it
life.
open.
He
I'd
was like,
slide the
"This is
food
the
in,
best."
and I would go back in my room.
because everybody was afraid. And
He preached and everything with COVID.
That-
I made him.
So what
I was like,
happened was-
stand behind the curtain
what
and then
happened
go
was,
preach.
Yeah.
in the back.
people weren't around. So
You
then
have
I showed up. Well, I didn't. Okay, mind you, we didn't know. I never got tested.
Yes.
Fair.
I tried to get
You probably
tested.
had it, though.
Okay,
Showed
there
up,
was-
showed up at the site. Nobody was there.
Yeah.
I went home and said, I'm just going to tough this out.
Yeah.
But I had to preach. The job had to get done. So I
hit
would
him
show
from the
up.
worship team.
I would show up and preach and then just go home. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
and nobody
One
was there.
service at this
And
point.
Yeah.
you're so far
We had
away.
two. We
doesn't
always
matter.
have had
we
two.
had two.
We've had two
always
from,
middle
from
school.
day
Since-
one.
Since
Oh,
I-
really?
out of the
That's
living
cool.
room.
Yeah, it was two.
Yeah, we had a trial service and it was huge and it filled up the room, so we had to start the church
That's
with two. So we had to rechange all of our
crazy.
branding, everything,
Yeah.
Wow.
From day one. it was
before
two
we
services.
started.
In a middle
Nice.
school, it was a middle school gym. So when we say huge, like
Yeah, but
huge
during our
on a-
preview service, it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
completely
yeah.
packed.
But what I'm
so.
saying, from a brand new church, that does not. You usually
That's
have
a
like
lot.
10 people,
Yeah.
and the,
Yeah.
the
we
OGs.
averaged 200 our first year.
That's
makes-
awesome.
And that people say that's like unheard of.
That doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Mm-mm.
But
and you weren't a plant from a plant either.
no. This
Yeah.
was
You know what I'm talking
organic.
about? Like they half
Yeah.
the church goes like, hey, we're gonna start a church. You
nobody
guys-
sent nobody.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Nobody's in nobody.
And I thought we were in a cornfield,
Nobody
nobody
said
would
no
come. So like I
Yeah.
was like, I ate
Cornfields
my
around.
words.
How
Yeah.
did-
Because it was
but-
at Liberty Christian.
Yeah.
How did you get 200 people?
I'll tell you why. Because we decided, okay, back to the whole we grew up working.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like landscape, like we
Put it in.
learned work ethic. So 3 months before we did the first service,
Yeah.
January.
It's
cold.
in
Oh yeah,
January,
middle
the
of
freezing
winter.
cold.
That's the
Gosh.
slowest months of the year.
We had raised money and we had ordered in coffee mugs and invitations that were like the church logo and all this information about the church and put hot chocolate packets in it. And we identified 3,000 homes within a certain proximity of the church, and we went door to door and delivered free coffee mugs
On Sunday mornings when people were
On
at
Sunday
church.
mornings.
So we only targeted
Oh,
people that weren't
that's
going
a
to
great-
church.
We were trying to get people that weren't
That's a
going.
great idea.
knock on doors. Hey, we have a gift for you.
Mm.
We just did it canvas for 3 months.
We had our
Freezing cold,
kids with wagons because I mean,
That
Malachi
is
Miller
awesome.
pull
Yeah.
wagon.
Not in the winter.
oh,
in the
winter.
winter.
Yeah, in January.
Freezing cold.
I mean, I
Gloves,
know you
hats.
said
I mean,
winter,
that's
but
why
just in
our
my head,
kids
I'm like,
weren't because we made them
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
January, February,
that's-
March, and then we did one pilot
Hmm.
service, 1 or 2 pilot services before we launched, and there were over 100 people at the
That's cool.
like just to check out,
Yeah.
and we were like, we have to do 2 services, like
So we
There's
changed everything.
no
and-
way.
Yeah.
yep. So Palm Sunday, which would be
Yeah.
this Sunday, 13 years ago, Palm Sunday. We celebrated our birthday last week, but 13 years
Yeah.
ago, Palm Sunday,
teenagers now.
we had 314 people walk through the doors and 2 services in a middle school gym for our very first church plant.
And if you weren't obedient, not to be super
Yeah,
spiritual,
That
Go ahead.
is, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Crazy.
I listened to this pastor. He was talking about. It's very interesting that when Peter stepped out of the boat, it says in the scripture it says Peter stepped out and he walked on water.
And
Mhm.
Not he got the boat and just walked on water. He said he stepped out and walked. So it's like 2 things. It's like
True.
he stepped
Mhm.
out and now God
And he
blessed
walked.
that and then he allowed you to walk. So
Mhm.
I think that's what happened there. It's like you stepped
Yeah.
out. That's the first like amazing thing that
And
you were
you went.
obedient and then he let you walk.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Insane.
It's really
Goes
good.
back
And
to the sales thing though
yeah.
too. You were already
That's-
selling your.
we were selling because
You're
we,
selling
we're,
Jesus.
we're
Yeah.
sold on him.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're sold on him, you know.
Mhm.
And I think they say that like 80% of church plants like fail
Mhm.
within 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the crazy thing. Like we just kept. I mean, every year it was like, okay, are we a statistic or not? Like we
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then God, and this is all God. He's just been faithful and
Mhm.
faithful, and we've done things right
Mhm. And we
And
were blessed too. Like
and
we
done things wrong.
Yeah.
they
I agree.
they happened to build a gym at the place we were at. So we were in
Yeah.
a small gym,
Mhm.
and then our church is growing to the point where we're like
At Liberty, you
we've-
mean?
Yeah, at
yeah,
Liberty.
Liberty Christian.
And they were building their new gym, and so
Okay.
we were able to partner with them and
Move
move right
into
in
it.
there. So we were able to seat everybody,
That's
and
nice.
so that let us, that did make
We
it
kept
really nice.
growing.
Yeah, we kept
Mhm.
growing in the midst of it, but it was
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
That's
But
a
even
lot.
so cool how like God opened all the doors for the building and like that
Oh my
whole
gosh.
story. Like and that was like
Yeah, that's a
nothing
great
but
story.
God, and so
could be
it's
here for
just
2
like
hours talking about that.
man,
Mhm.
it's just
I can tell you that part too.
it's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah.
You want me to tell you about the fleece where we almost quit? Would you guys? Would
Yeah.
you guys like to
I
hear
would
this
love
part?
to.
yeah, Real Church almost shut down in
Yes.
2022.
Let's hear it. I wanna hear this.
Would you like to
Yeah,
hear
I
this?
would love it. Yeah.
Okay. So, unless you have a different question, because we can tell you
No.
that
This
part.
is- this
I think this
is
is important for people in ministry, but just people in
In
general.
general.
Like,
Yeah.
if anybody's watching this that doesn't even know the story, so we had prayed hard. You launch in 2013, and we're 8 years into
7 years at that point.
7 years into running
Mhm.
the church, and it's 2020. We get through it. We're grinding through all that stuff.
Mm.
But we had started praying. I'll never forget. Tiffany comes to me and she says, "I can't do it anymore. Like we can't keep setting up and tearing down."
This is
every
in
week."
January before COVID hit.
So
right before
gosh,
COVID hit,
yeah.
we're having the
so
conversation.
COVID wasn't even a thing yet.
Mm-mm.
This is
Wow.
yeah. But she was just like, "I can't. Like
this is too much.
like
Yeah.
we're fit."
Yeah.
We're
And
just,
we had huge, like our children's program was huge. We had just thrown this huge production, and it was like, there's just what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, and we were too poor to afford a big building.
Yeah.
Because we needed a big building.
Yep.
But we were too big for a small building.
Yep.
So it's like what we need, we can't
Should
afford
do
it.
7 services.
And so we were trying to merge with another church. We were doing whatever we could, like God, whatever creative thing, and everything, like door closed.
Wow.
And so we're journeying through this, and then finally we give God a fleece. We're like, God, if like by summertime, or like if we don't have a building, like if we don't have something on the way, like we're gonna take that as a sign. We prayed, if we're gonna take this as a sign, like you're done, we'll go get a job, like we'll hang up the cleats, like
We'll sell oranges and we'll
or a church more wealthy than us can take this over and like buy about like
Sure.
but we just didn't have the resources. And so then COVID hits, of course, and the world shuts down, and so you just have to stabilize.
Yeah.
You know, the largest tithe in the history of the church came in the Sunday that COVID shut down. Nobody's at church, nobody's there, and Tiffany's like, "We have never had this much money given."
I
to
was
the
ready to
church
put our
ever."
house up for sale and everything.
That is
She thought
right.
it's
I did.
over.
I had
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
I was
like-
organizing the house. I was like, you know what? If we have to do this, it is what it is.
Yep.
I'm gonna sell the house because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
Because we and she's
Wow.
standing there holding her phone because she had got like the notifications on giving. And I come to the back and she's just weeping. I said, "What?" She said, look what God's doing. Nobody's here.
That's
And God is
wild.
telling us this
Yeah.
is his church. Like
Yep.
he is providing for his
Mhm.
church. Like, so then you get through
Wow.
all that. But we kind of had it like the fleece was there, but it was kind of on hold because now it's COVID and
COVID,
you're just
yeah.
trying to get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then towards the end of the year, you're kind of going to the next year and it's like, okay, God, like for real,
Yeah.
like
But COVID was fun too. I will say we did a lot of we went back to like the roots of ministry.
Yeah.
We went and delivered food to homes and got to go all the
Yeah.
original heart of why you're in ministry.
Yeah.
We got to kind of redo
You got
from
to
the
strip it
start. I mean,
down
even
to
our
the-
children's
Strip it back
ministry,
down.
because we had to
Yeah.
shut it down.
Yeah.
I had to recreate every room, how we did everything had to
was
be
different.
recreated. So it was
Mm.
starting from ground zero again.
Yeah.
I think that's what's cool though, because we've talked about this a lot about how Sundays, it's just the nature of, I don't want to say the word beast, but it's the nature of what a church is, like in terms of the operation. Like you got to have the building, you got to have the systems, the
Gotta have it all.
processes. But I know just being with you guys the last 4 or 5 years, like your heart is so much deeper than just like that, like rigmarole of just like clock in, clock out,
Yeah.
hour and 15 service. Like there's so much deeper stuff, but that's just the nature of what you have to do on
You
Sundays.
just got to juggle it.
And so that's like, oh, we get back to just
Heart.
loving and serving.
Yeah,
and
because there
being
was
with
no
people.
operation.
Yeah.
But then it
nothing.
was like we could just love people, or we
Yeah.
could drop off
Yeah.
food, or we could,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's like when Peter and John went to pray.
Yeah.
He didn't have money to, but he's
Yeah.
like, I can give you this.
I can
get,
do
get up
this.
and
Yeah.
walk.
That's all I got.
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah,
I
yeah.
can-
Yeah.
You know, so
Mhm.
that part was
Wow.
good. But then it's like, okay, God, circle back. Like, so this whole fleece thing, like
Yeah.
COVID's over, you know, and now we're
Mhm.
Yeah.
rolling in. And we told him, like, if we don't have something, like we were just like, we're letting you speak. Like,
Yeah.
we're not trying to be manipulative or whatever, but we just
Yeah.
feel like we're at
Yeah.
the end of like carrying this without a permanent facility. And we prayed. We had worked for a year to merge with a church, and that January, they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to merge anymore. We've changed our mind." And it honestly, like for us, it was like,
Mhm.
God, we thought this was
This
your
was-
answer.
yeah.
Like
I
They
missed
had a
that part. So
building.
there was a official
An
church that you were
entire
already
year,
like
yeah.
ready to.
for a year,
No
the
way.
pastor met with me and said, "The Lord
That's
told
so
me."
crazy.
They took a
Yeah.
congregational vote, and like 85-90% of the congregation voted yes to merge.
Wow.
Long story short, there was kind of a little bit of a mutiny go on
Yeah.
internally
Yeah.
that reversed it
Hmm.
against the pastor, which
Okay.
was a little bit interesting. But
That is interesting.
but in January they were like, "Hey, we're not doing it." So here we are again, like we're back to
Protected.
zero. There's no building. We're gonna do
Mm.
another year of setup and tear down.
Mhm.
So somebody from a church messaged us and was like, "Hey, there's a church going up for sale."
I think it's pretty cool though. I'd started the Elijah series by
Mhm.
Priscilla.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Priscilla?
Priscilla Schreier.
Yeah, Schreier.
Yeah.
That is a
yeah,
good
that
series.
is a good one.
And because I was
love
kind of
Priscilla.
angry at God
Me
because
too.
I'm like, come on, it's been a year now. We've been like, you've done whatever you need to do in
Yeah.
us.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
telling him.
I am, because that's how I work with him. I'm like,
Yeah,
you're,
like,
you,
come on.
you
Yeah,
said this.
you
I gave
said.
my life to you. You need to
Yes.
come through.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, there, like Elijah, like, come on,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah.
And I wanted to go sit under the tree and be fed by ravens, but he wouldn't let me do that.
Yeah.
And so
No
that's
sulking.
when,
No sulking. He's like,
No.
and
"Guys,
it was
you
in the
told me."
Bible study. One of
Mhm.
the women at my Bible study came with
yeah.
us.
She came up and said, "Hey, there's this church down the road a good friend goes to. Coming out of COVID, they just can't recover. They can't get people. That they're struggling financially a little bit, and they're selling.
Wow.
And so we just want to make you aware." And I said, "What?" So this was handed to Tiffany on Saturday.
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, she comes home and says,
Well, we only
"Honey,
had the church on Saturday and Sunday,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
everything
Yeah,
revolved.
everything was Saturday.
Definitely weekend.
Yeah.
weddings, baby dedication, everything happened on Saturday and Sunday." So she says to me, "Here's the deal," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So I called like the head pastor over like the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew me, and he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna sell it." He's like, "But two big mega churches are already in the building, and they've already looked at it. They've got engineers, and they're probably gonna put an offer in." And I said, "So this is Saturday." So I call him Saturday afternoon, and I said, "So, but is an offer?" And he's like, "No, it's not sold."
Yeah.
And they told us don't put it on the market, all that stuff. So I'm like, "So that means it's available?" And they said, "Yeah, it's available, but like they're probably going to put in an offer."
Yeah.
And so I went to bed Saturday, met with all of the elders between first and second service Sunday, and I said, "Here's the deal. What do we do?" And they said unanimously, like, just put in the offer, like just write an offer.
Yeah.
So this is how funny life is. So we had tubing with the teenagers that night. It was still winter. We're on the way to tubing all the way at, Mad River Mountain.
Yeah.
And I'm working on a contract over the phone, getting it all locked
Your
in.
real estate experience.
Come on, somebody. That's what you got to do.
You got to do it.
And so we get a contract put in, and they accepted for a fraction of the value of the property. They said, we feel like the Lord wants you to have this building. So,
That's incredible.
we're rooting for you. So we put in the offer, and Ben and Erica, this is the crazy
That's
part.
crazy.
So then we're in contract on a building that we have no money to buy. I mean, we have a little bit, but we don't have
You don't have
enough.
we
no
had
money.
we had like 20 grand in the building campaign.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it.
Can
in the
we-
building fund.
Will you take 20 grand?
Yeah, we're like, will you
What?
take payments for
Yeah.
the next 700 years?
That's how much they were.
700.
And so
But you
we
have mega churches that have also.
and they're getting ready to pay cash. They're just going to write
Yeah.
a check cash. So they took our
That's so
offer
cool.
knowing like, hey, and
I think they felt sorry for us.
Yeah.
I get it.
we went and met with banks, and started
Mhm.
working on the loan process,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget
Jeez.
we get all that. We had the whole campaign together. We're going up in front of the church. You're gonna have to raise. We need 600,000 down and 600,000 in commitments, and we need this and all
We
the
got
things. And by the way, we need it in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I remember standing in the back of the church, like James is up there preaching, and I'm like talking to God because that's what I do.
Yeah.
I tell him like,
Yeah.
"Hey, come on, man! Like, what are you
Yeah,
gonna do?
we
Like,
got it. Yeah,
come on, you got an answer for
Just talk him
this."
straight
Yeah,
though. Like,
yeah,
just,
I totally
straight
love
up.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while everybody else is doing
Yeah.
things, like I'm just having these internal conversations
Yeah.
with God, and I remember it was an audible
Mhm.
voice in my head. Like he was just like, I got this.
Mm.
And it brought me
That's
so
so
much peace. And I
cool.
remember going, okay, I don't know what you got, but
Yeah,
whatever
we're gonna do
plan
it.
it
Yeah.
is,
So
you
just like
got it.
COVID, when you
Mhm.
thought that the church was burning to the ground,
Yeah.
this building, we're in
Yeah.
contract on a building we have no money for. And he said, I got this. So I had received a phone call that morning, right before I got up to preach,
Mhm.
from a business person in Columbus that said, hey, hey, we want to meet with you this week. We heard that you're in contract on a building and we want to help.
So
And
cool.
so,
This is all the same day, I think.
Yeah,
I'm
this
in
is
the
all
back,
on
and
Sunday.
God's
you
like
don't know this
talking
phone
to me.
call yet.
Yeah.
so
that's
this was a
so
crazy
cool.
day.
Okay, because he's getting ready to present it to the, and I'm just like, okay, this is crazy. People are gonna think we're nuts, you know?
Yeah.
We got all this
but-
money we
yeah.
need. Look at this
Jeez.
crazy story.
In the
Yeah.
moment.
I mean, everybody was excited we were in contract until they heard how much it was going to cost.
mean?
Okay,
Yeah.
we're getting a building. Well,
Oh.
good, maybe. So, but then that
Jeez.
week,
Hmm.
I went and met with those people, and the Lord had spoken to them and said, "Hey, make sure they get that church."
Wow.
And so they said, "Hey, it was a husband and wife
That's
sitting
so
there, big
cool.
smiles on their face." I've never seen people so excited to give away an unbelievable amount of
Yeah.
money before in my
Yeah.
life.
That's
And
so
we
cool.
sit across the desk, and they're both smiling, and he says, "Yeah, the Lord told us to give you $2 million to make
That
sure
is so cool.
that you get." And here's something very interesting. Yeah, just
Yeah, just 2 million.
Just
Okay.
2 million. And I didn't know
That's
what the
so
number was
cool.
going to be. Like I had no
Yeah.
idea.
But remember, you're nobodies.
Yeah.
But we're
that's
nobodies.
Per se.
Remember, we left
Totally,
everything
yeah.
and went.
Yeah.
You're nobodies.
And you know
Well,
what's crazy?
People rode their bike to Northern Lights to get milk.
Come on, somebody.
Like-
And candy. And candy.
Wow.
But the
2 million.
coolest part was
Mhm.
the agent that kind of brokered the deal,
Yeah.
on this whole thing, the commercial agent, he said, and he's done commercial real estate for 35, 40 years. He
Mhm.
said on record, it is the largest single gift given to any church in the history of the state of Ohio.
That's
Insane.
incredible.
And God sent it to us.
yeah.
So when you
That's so
lay out a
cool.
fleece and say, God, do you want us to quit or keep going?
Yeah.
I think it was a loud answer.
I think
Like-
so.
Like,
Yeah. And it
okay.
was like 15 minutes from our location too. So I remember getting up in front of the church with him and I was like, you guys, this is not the location that we ever thought
Yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
but God's obviously speaking.
Yeah.
So since he's speaking, we're going to follow where he's leading.
Mhm. But
That's
the cool part
ins-
is going back to it is like, because you guys were obedient, you guys could have just been like, nah, we're done.
Mhm.
Like 3
gonna do it.
times.
And I would have been
Yes.
happy about
Yeah.
it.
You know?
But you always say, the Lord pays his bills,
The Lord pays his
Yes.
bills.
and not our
that's good.
bills.
Yeah.
He don't pay your bills.
Not your
he'll
debt
pay
that
his.
you keep
Mhm.
accruing.
He'll
like,
pay his
he
bills.
pays his bills.
If he
Yeah.
speaks and you obey, he'll take care of
Yep.
it.
He's
That's-
got you. Yeah.
And just because he did it last week doesn't mean I'm not going to struggle with doubt that he'll do it this week.
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got to remind myself, like, but he was
Yeah.
faithful last
Mhm.
time, so
Yeah.
I've got to trust
Yeah.
it'll be. But I'm
Yeah.
telling you, he
Mhm.
takes care
That's.
of his vision, his plan.
Do you feel a sense of pressure
Mm.
now in that? Obviously, then it's been a few years ago now, but
Mhm.
like, do you feel a sense of pressure to be a good steward of now what God is
100%.
giving to you? Is
Yeah.
there a lot of pressure to that?
Yeah, 100%. I think initially it was a lot. I think one of the things, and you're on staff, so you know one of the things we've tried to do is because people were generous with us, we are using every square inch, every
Absolutely.
blade of grass on that property to be
Yeah.
generous.
Mhm.
You know, the community practice, you know,
Mhm.
they have soccer teams every night of the week practicing for free
Yeah.
because we want to bless the community.
Yeah.
We're building a sports complex that we just got the LLC done for 20 acres in the back. Because we're on 30,
It's gonna be
32,
insane.
33
I'm so
acres.
excited about that.
gonna be
It's
insane.
really
And
cool.
that's going to be incredible because there's such a need for practice
Yeah.
space and sports development.
Mhm. Yeah. Good.
And then the Christian preschool, all day preschool to serve,
Mhm.
people in the community.
Right.
And then of course our future building addition that we forecasted.
So I
That's
think
really cool.
that story of the building and the things, because a lot of people don't know this, and there's not enough time on a Sunday to
Mm.
explain all
Tell
that.
it all.
Yeah.
The reality is this: like you want to be a good steward. And people ask, why the preschool? Why do we keep doing all these things? It's like you're trying to maximize, be a good steward of what's God given. Like the
Mhm.
talents, conversation of the talents. Like, are we just going to go,
Hey,
all right, let me
yeah.
build something and have my green room and thank God for the blessing He gave, or go, we have all these acres, we got all these things. You can take that phone call, your realtor.
That's my son. I'll get
Same
it.
thing.
I'll
Same
get
thing.
it.
Oh.
But
Um,
I think at the end of the
yeah.
day, Ben and Erica,
Mhm.
one day you're going to hang up your cleats
Mhm.
and you're going to say it's someone else's turn to run.
Yeah.
You're going to be Elijah and you're going to throw your cloak on Elisha and it's going to be Elisha's turn.
Yeah.
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 So you have to ask yourself the question, are you going to be proud because you did everything
Yeah.
that you could do for God?
Yeah.
Or are you going to say, I held back. I didn't take that step of faith.
Mhm.
And I would rather people go, man, like
Mhm.
I want to feel like we maximized every minute,
Yeah.
every hour, every
Mhm.
opportunity. Like I'll rest in the grave while we've got a
Yeah.
heartbeat. Like we
Yeah.
have got to impact people. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about
That-
making Jesus known and
it is.
and
That's what this is about.
Yeah.
That's a Billy
So
Graham
cool.
right there.
Yeah.
That's
Come
a
on.
Good.
go until you're how old was he when he passed? You know?
90 something.
I
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
dude's
I was gonna
still
say, I don't know,
preaching to
He was
actually.
not young.
Yeah.
Say it again.
He was not young.
I saw Billy Graham. Is it Billy Graham Jr.? What's his son's name?
No,
Franklin.
Franklin.
He said Billy Graham Jr.
He does look like
He looks just like
he
him.
does. Yeah.
I saw videos. I was like, wait, is that Billy Graham? And it's like, no,
Yeah.
he's
No.
old.
Mhm.
Yeah,
He's
Franklin's
old.
old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
he
what I'm
is old.
saying.
Yeah, that's
Junior.
true.
I'm gonna call him Junior because
Yeah.
Junior.
Junior.
that's Junior's old.
Basically.
Man, this is good. One more question. 2 more questions for
Okay, 2 more questions.
you. Mentorship is my first question. So, like, have you guys had people in your lives that you want to either shout out or you kind of like, you know what,
Yeah.
that was someone that really showed me the roadmap that helped us, even though we kind of were figuring it all out and depending on the Lord, like, was there someone that kind of like held your hand as you did some things, or maybe you kind of just learned by
You can go first.
Well,
You
actually,
can
I'll
go
go-
first.
Yeah.
I'm just preferring my wife.
Yeah,
yeah.
I would say, you have different people in different seasons.
Mhm.
I think that's a big thing. First of all, a lot of times people feel like I got a mentor and it's the only mentor I'll ever have and they should be with me forever. I think God often sends different people in different seasons for what you need in that season.
Mhm.
Some people walk with you forever, but some
Yeah.
people only walk with you for a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So, growing up as a kid, I would say my grandpa was like the most impactful person on faith and
Mhm.
character. Like he was just He was my best friend growing up. Like he was
That's
my
awesome.
dude. He was the best man at my wedding at 89 years old.
That's
You know,
No way.
amazing.
yeah, I had
That's
all
so
20-year-olds
cool.
Such a
and
cute
then an
little
89-year-old.
man.
He was my homie too.
That's
Like he would dab me. We
awesome.
golfed together.
Oh,
and,
that's awesome.
you know,
Was he the same age as Billy Graham?
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Or Billy Graham Jr.
Aw.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So, but then, you know, when I got into my teenage years, my youth pastor, who became my pastor, and I took over the youth pastorship, his name was Dwight Bennett, and he had a huge impact on me as far as like recognizing the call of ministry and saying, hey, he needs to be in ministry. And
Yeah.
you know, people had spoken it over me, but like
Yeah.
somebody had to
Pulled
see
it
it
out of you,
and
yeah.
pull it out of you. He did a great job
That's good.
of that, and how to be a good godly man, I think was a
Mm-hmm.
good thing. And then another thing was like he was a great parent. He was a great dad of his kids. So I learned like to prioritize kids and make
Yeah.
sure they mattered. And you know, I
Mhm.
watched all
Really
that
good.
stuff. And then you know, Pastor Scott Kelso, when we you know, moved back and started planting the church, he was a big help, a big, you know, mentor, just a positive voice, like, hey, don't worry about it, you got this, you know. And then even one currently, Rich Holcomb,
Good
you
man.
know, with the Eli Effect, and he's so wise, and he's really helped us a lot in this
Yeah.
season of ministry.
Yep.
Because it's like, again, new seasons.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're like, I've never been here before. Like this is something I've never experienced, and we've never experienced a church of, you know, 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, 13, 4, you know, like
How do you
that's a
navigate
lot
that?
of
That's
people.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so it's compared to 20 in your living room.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you need help, you need wisdom. And so,
Mhm.
so those people have all been just God sends at different
Mhm.
seasons for
Yeah.
me and for us.
Would you say
Yeah.
same or
Yeah, about the same.
extra
I mean,
people?
I had pastor and stuff at mine growing up too, but
Yeah.
Sam Farina was, I still have him. That's why he's in the lobby, is because
Yeah.
of Sam. I remember just being a kid, like, and
Her
he
pastor growing
always,
up,
yeah,
he always
Okay.
did this.
he
Aw.
literally always hugged me, squeezed my cheeks because I've
That's
always had
so
chubby cheeks,
sweet.
and he
Aw.
would, he just always made me feel special, and
Yeah.
I always made sure.
Same.
I was like, James, if we start a church, I want you to be in the lobby and
Yeah.
make people feel
It's
valued.
such- it
Because I
matters
didn't
so
feel like a very
much.
valuable
does.
kid anyway, so it was
Yeah.
like for him to do that.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
We had a very deep conversation. We're kind of running out of time, but we had a very deep conversation the other day about that, about when you take on that role, the way people perceive you.
Yes.
Like simply just like I've experienced it a couple of times already, and I'm sociopath. Like it's not, you know, not the guy per se, if you want to put it that way. But a simple text to someone from someone on staff makes them go, "Oh my gosh, Ben Jones reached out to me. Pastor Ben reached out to
Yes.
me." Like I didn't realize how valuable. I'm
The
just being Ben
Mhm.
Jones per se.
Mhm.
There you go.
There's my little thing, little advertisement. But I'm just being Ben Jones, and I'm just reaching out simply because I just
Yeah.
love the dude. But I didn't realize how much that impacted
It
him. And
matters.
there's someone in our church right now that he's been coming every Sunday, but now his sister comes.
Yeah.
And his brother-in-law comes. Now his mom comes. And all these people come because we just reached out to him once or
Send him a
twice.
text.
And now he feels like, and it was nothing out of like, I want you to come to our church. I want you to be my friend. I was just like, hey, just checking in on you. And that meant so much to him. And if someone else in the church that was not on staff did the same thing, maybe he felt loved. But because I have a title, I think it just did something to him.
It did.
That's a
something.
hard thing to process for me because I'm like, I'm just checking on you. I got a title. And that means something to some
Mhm.
people. Yeah.
But
so
it does matter because I just talked to a friend yesterday and they just moved out of town and they're looking for a new church. And she said, we settled on a church. She's like, because they have little kids. And she said, there's not a lot. They moved out to the country, so there's not a lot of options. But she was just saying, but the one that has a great kids ministry, she's like, we've been there about 4 times and not a soul has said hi to, how are you? We notice you're new. And it's a smaller church. And she's like, I've never once seen the pastor out in the lobby. Like, and she's like, it's just so different. And she's like, I don't understand it. But she's like, but they have great programs. And so we're going to keep trying and keep going. But like, she's like, no one talks to you. And I'm like, it just reminded me like how important that is to like see people when they're new or
Yes.
just, I don't know, just make
Yeah.
it personal for
See
them.
people past what you see in the
Yeah.
lobby. I think
Yeah.
that's a big thing too, is like actually seeing people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I think when you're
That's
talking
what
to
it
them,
is.
yeah, that's it.
If
Yeah.
people feel seen, they feel valuable.
Yeah.
and you'll try your best. It's not
Yeah,
like you
you're
can
not
unpack
always
things, but I
going
think
to.
too, it's also you when you're in the lobby with people.
Yeah.
Allowing God to alert you,
Yeah.
to speak to you and be like, hey, I need to check on these people and to
Yes.
be
So
obedient.
good.
Yeah.
In that, but you can't. not being in the lobby or not being around people or not, interacting
Connecting.
with people,
Yeah.
how
Being
would you
above people.
ever
That's the
know the
word.
thermometer of
I was going to
your
say,
congregation?
you sometimes look at someone in the face and just know they're walking through something without even knowing. And it's like,
well, you're called to pastor
yeah.
versus a shepherd, and shepherds slept with their lambs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They
No
were
shit.
they were all like they
Say
were
it
there
again.
called to protect all of them, and
That's
Yeah.
good.
And I think
and so like and
No,
they
she's
and they
right.
weren't called to just be speakers. Like, hey, I'm going to come speak to you. And so like I think that's the biggest thing. Like you got to
Yeah.
know what you're called to. We're called to shepherd.
Yeah.
yeah, if we could tell, if we had a platform to talk to pastors in America right now,
Yeah.
my message would be: don't forget that pastor, shepherds spend time with sheep.
Mm.
And I think we've fallen in
So
love with the
good.
platform and the fame and like, I'm a rock star.
I'm the
Look at my
guy.
cool fit. Look
Yeah.
at my cool message. Look at my,
Yeah.
and then I go hide in a green room until the next time the show starts, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are too important to spend time with sheep. I understand you
Yeah.
can't talk to everybody and you
Mhm.
can't, but when this church becomes 2,000 and 3,000, we'll still be in the lobby.
Yeah.
And 4,000 will still be shaking hands
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
pastors, we're called
Yeah.
to people.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all
No, you'll have
about.
They
more pastors in the
forget.
lobby with you.
Yeah.
So
We'll
it's
just
good to
add
have
more
you in the
pastors to
lobby
the
with
lobby.
us,
More
right?
pastors.
Yeah.
There's a
like-
big distance between that stage and that first row for whatever reason, spiritually and emotionally. That people
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like growing up when there was no phones and you have the TV and you see your favorite celebrity. Like that screen is like the furthest place from that person. If they ever came through that screen or like you met them, like LeBron James for me. I watch him on. I always bring up LeBron. It's my guy. If you watch LeBron on TV, I'm like, that's LeBron.
Yeah.
If you walk into the room, I would just be like,
You lose your mind.
that's how pastors, or that's how people feel the pastors sometimes. It's like, oh my gosh, I saw him on the stage. Like, okay, that's cool
Yeah,
that he's on the stage. But if he gets down and shakes my hand, they're like, oh my gosh, like
That
that guy,
meant so
that
much.
meant so much to me.
Yeah.
And I've seen that in different like scenarios,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah. It's good.
It's a far walk.
Yeah.
So, last question for you.
All right. We're in.
What advice do you have for us?
What advice do we have for you?
Or anyone else watching that is like, you know what, like I feel called to ministry, or I feel called to lead something, or I feel called to build something.
when you're
like,
newer to ministry?
Yeah.
or- yeah.
like what, like
Mm.
how do you? What's something that you guys maybe could share?
You talked about in the
impart
car, I
some
thought was really
wisdom.
good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Closing
Let's talk
wisdom.
about in the car.
Just marathon versus.
Oh, I think you gotta know ministry is the long game.
Yeah.
Like it genuinely is. Like it's like it's not like this short sprint. Hey, I gotta get all this done really quick. It's like consistency, caring, like keeping your heart together, all those things, like every week the same. Like
yeah.
everybody's always on to the next adventure or the next thing. It's like, unfortunately, that's not, then, go be an evangelist or something. But if you want to pastor a church, you need to be consistently
Mhm.
better every
Yeah.
week. Yes, but still consistent. And I think that's the big thing is like, the long game's a big deal. And a lot of people don't see it as that. They're just on to
That's
like,
really
they
good.
use it as a ladder to get to their next performance. So.
That's
or
good.
That's
or
deep.
I didn't
That's
get
good.
I didn't get results.
Yeah.
Right away. So
Yeah.
People
It's
are going
not
to come
working.
in. My thought is, people are going to come in. They're going to celebrate you. They're going to be loyal to you. People are going to turn around. They're going to walk out on you. You're going to pour in, and it has a great effect on one person, and it doesn't do anything on another person. Like,
Yeah.
but like she's talking about, I would agree with her. Like ministry is about faithfulness, and the Bible
Faithfulness.
says
Yeah,
that
that's
if you're
better.
Yeah.
if you're faithful with little,
Mm.
God will give you much.
Yep.
And I think people, when it's little, say, I don't want to be that faithful with little.
Mm.
I'll wait till there's much, and then I'll really step my game up.
Yeah.
But I think, if I walk into a Bible study, and it's normally 30 people, and on that night there's 6 people, I don't like throw the notes out and say, I'm just, you're beneath me. Like, I don't have
Doesn't
time
matter.
for 6
Yeah.
people,
So
right?
the one.
You have to be faithful with whatever is there. And I think that sets in motion an excellence and a character. And God says, you know what? I can trust that person because they're faithful to me. They're faithful to people. Their heart is pure. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's hard. I mean, it is hard to be
good.
faithful because you don't always see the results, right?
Yeah.
But remember, you both, listen, you will reap what you sow, but you don't reap in the same season that you sow. So you're
so
going
good.
to reap what you sow.
That's good.
Yeah.
Sow good seed.
Mhm.
But if you sow in the spring, you can't expect it to grow in the spring, right? It may
Right.
not be till the fall season of life where
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm about to give up. and here comes all this fruit popping up.
Mhm.
And
And you got to see past what's in front of you. You know, like when you get your eyes checked or whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you see that next depth when you really focus. And I
Yeah.
think as you're really focusing, God continues to show the vision of what he has. But if you're not focused, you're not going to see the full picture.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Clip
quit.
that.
Yeah.
Come on, clip that.
That's
She got
really
this.
good. No.
Guys, thank you for being on there. Do you have anything you
Yeah.
want to add?
No,
last
I
minute?
don't think so. We just love you guys, and we're so
Aw.
grateful
So
for
appreciative and really do look up to you guys,
Same.
like, in all
Yes.
seriousness.
It's
So
just you're a great example to us of how to shepherd people, and you do it really well. And
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
what
we
it's
love
all
you
about.
guys.
So
We love you guys. We feel like we have some
Yeah.
our great pastoral staff. They're the best people in
Oh,
the world.
No.
Like
this,
yeah,
this,
they're
there's not
great.
many teams that you go in. There's no egos. It's everyone just like, let's go serve people. Let's figure out how to serve
link
people.
arms
and
make a
and-
difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
it
I
is.
love
It's
it.
so
great.
true. It's a
Sweet.
great team.
Well, thank you again for being on here.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. If you have questions, feel free to subscribe, like, all the things that influencers say. I don't know what they say, but do it on this channel. We love you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, guys.